Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Economic and Industry Development Committee number 5 for 2022. It is 12:31. You can see that councillors are all in attendance and I don't have any apologies. I will now do the welcome to country. So Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land upon which we meet. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging as the keepers of the traditions, cultures and stories of our proud people. Are there any declarations of interest in the matters on the agenda? No? There's no business outstanding, so I'll move on to the confirmation of the minutes from the last Economic and Industry Development Committee on the 5th of May.
I'm happy to move that they be confirmed, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Fechner. Can I get a second? Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion on those minutes? No. I'll move now to a vote. All those in favour? Wonderful. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. And moving on to item 2, which is our economic development strategy. So a report concerning a refreshed economic and development strategy which outlines roles and priorities in driving our economic growth has come through from the ECDev department. And I thank the officers for all their hard work so far. The alignment of the 4 pillars covers a fundamental cross-section of the economic benefits that our city is built on. Over the coming years, as the strategy drives improvements, it will be increasingly important to monitor these initiatives and evaluate the progress achieved. The document should be a living and responsive plan to meet the needs of the city. So I believe further consultation is required to ensure we can apply realistic indicators to each of the actionable outcomes and understand the timeframes that will achieve key milestones. I see this strategy as the most important piece of this committee going forward, especially considering our high growth numbers and the 2032 Olympics and the opportunities that presents. I would also like to see the information on the progress of the strategy accessible on our Business Ipswich website. The information should be provided and known upfront to support the implementation of the strategy. That way we will have clear baseline data to help us track the ongoing success of the strategy and inform any future revisions. I would also like to see a facility for regular progress reporting back to this committee as well. So on that basis, I would like to propose a revised motion that a revised strategy be presented to future Economic and Industry Development Committee following further consultation with chairperson and committee members. Can I get a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Madsen. Does anyone have any questions for the relevant officer? No? Any discussion? Yeah.
I'll just say I think that the draft strategy that we had today is pretty good. We're just looking for some further alignment. One of our discussions we had earlier this morning to some other things that are happening out and about in the broader world. Really happy to see council focus on the people component of the economy. A lot of the time people want to talk about, you know, wealthy individuals and their investment and what that means to an economy. But in the modern world, it's about doing things well and with passion and pride, and that's what creates a marketable good. And it's actually the employees that own that intellectual property. So developing that capability further in our city is the key to people having a higher disposable income and supporting all these service providers and the services part of the economy in our city by actually having people make things and do things at a higher standard.
Thank you, Councillor Madsen. It is first and foremost a priority for me as well, the people piece under this strategy. we have a unique opportunity to leverage our community. If we don't, then we can go ahead in leaps and bounds in industry and investment, but they will be supported by out of Ipswich workforce, by workforces from other areas, other local government areas, interstate and internationally. So I think by investing in human capital and our residents of Ipswich, if we don't take them along on the journey, then we are going to basically be building a weak, leaky local economy. So thank you. On that note, any further discussion? Yes, Mayor?
Just want to understand why we're not proceeding with this one. Is there just to have a better understanding? Because also we had a chat this morning. I wasn't aware that you were looking to put a different strategy up or a revised strategy.
So I ran through some of the discussion points. The information for support of the implementation of the strategy with clear baseline data to help track the ongoing success of the strategy and its initiatives. I want this to be incorporated as part of the strategy as well, so that it is a living plan, but it's also a responsive plan and it can be tracked and measured.
So you're wanting to add some measures or KPIs or what? So
Yes.
Unclear.
Yep.
Okay.
And so also for the tracking of the success of the strategy to be facilitated through Business Ipswich, the website. So there is a single source of data as well.
Right. I guess I mentioned some of this during the strategy development. I was told that those things would be put into an implementation plan. So I guess I'm just seeking guidance on...
Would you like to ask questions of the officer?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yep.
Good afternoon, Chair, Mayor and Councillors. Kat Matson, Manager of Economic and Community Development. So, Mayor, to understand your question is, where does the data sit? Where does the progress plan sit?
No. I guess what I was asking is, obviously, I think I saw the first draft of this on the 8th of April, I think. And my advice was to put a bit more meat on the bones, I guess, put more things on there. And I was told that there'll be an implementation plan of some sort. So I guess I'm just looking at what's happening. Are we combining the two, or what's happening, I guess is what I'm asking.
It's a question that I don't have an answer for, Mayor. Okay. Likewise, I thought that this strategy was about to be endorsed. Yeah. And on endorsement, we can then create the implementation plan. Okay. To give some context, and I think that's pretty useful at this point, when we were asked to revisit the economic development strategy, the last framework that was published by Council for our economic development was published in 2018. Since then, we have a new Council, we have a new corporate plan in iFuture, we have new economic development outcomes. So the first step was to put in place a focused strategic document, high level, to help focus our attentions on the things that are important. And so the strategy that's been submitted today does that. Identifies 4 pillars to shape our thinking about why we say the things that are important to us are important. On endorsement of this strategy, the plan was, or is, to develop the implementation plans to bring the initiatives under each of the pillars to life. So in those 4 pillars, people, place, prosperity and partnerships, there are outlined a number of initiatives that are either existing or are immediate and short-term initiatives. There's a couple of things that I want to say here. First of all, in the last 2 years alone, we've experienced a number of economic shocks that would render any specific action plan irrelevant. If we had in place one of those tome-style documents that are written, published with a whole heap of actions that need to be reported on a quarterly basis, when COVID hit, we would have had to then justify why all of those items are now irrelevant and why we've rediverted our priorities. Similarly with the floods, we'd have to justify why we're now pausing those actions to move on to others. And the general consensus in the market is that those economic shocks are going to continue. So the idea of the strategy was that it's a living document, as the Chair has said, that we can move initiatives in and out of in a responsive and agile way. So in terms of the comments just now around data, progress and initiatives, I think that all can be done. I think that can all be done with the endorsement of the plan, because we can then say, well, we have an endorsed plan that prioritises these 4 pillars, and therefore we're going to prioritise the initiatives under people. And so with the people initiatives prioritised, what is the data that we need to track? It's also really important to recognise that economic development data, like employment figures, GDP, GRP, council's role in influencing those figures is pretty small. And so we need to be very careful that we're tracking causal indicators as distinct to contextual indicators. So there is some nuance there around what is it that we're reporting against. My recommendation would be that we're reporting against our successful implementation of programs as distinct to key economic figures.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms Matson.
Thank you.
No worries.
So I guess why I'm asking for it to be revised is to include exactly what Kat just said within the strategy, to know that it is a living, evolving document that will touch on initiatives that external consultants don't give us, but that we have been told by our own industries and our people in our communities. But I also need some measures, I need some tangibles, and there is some low-hanging fruit that could have KPIs set against it. So I want that to be part of the strategy, and I think that our strategy is high level and it aligns with EDQ's strategy in a way, but even their strategy was high level with some drill down into some facts and deliverables that they're aiming to achieve. I don't want to rush this.
No,
Yeah.
I guess I'm just confused because obviously, yeah, so the draft strategy that's been put forward, or the strategy that was put forward today, that's been circulated, you're not happy with it and you wish it to be fleshed out a bit more? Is that what you're...
I'm very happy with it. I just need some more detail. I need a little bit more consultation, and I think some other committee members do so as well. And I don't want it to be rushed through just for the sake of adopting it.
Yep. I'll support that. Thank you.
I would support that too, considering both discussions. Certainly there's room there for us to come back to it and discuss it outside of this committee and see what we can come up with. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillman.
I hope that made sense.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, and happy to follow the lead, Chair. If you'd like a little bit more time, then that's absolutely, I'm in support of that. Just thinking about the practicalities of what the next iteration looks like. Is it a strategy and an implementation plan at the same time, or are you kind of looking to incorporate the implementation plan into the strategy?
I think that some of it can be incorporated, but I think that that's going to be teased out by further consultation with not just me and committee members, but there could be other stakeholders that would need to be engaged as well. So I just want to cover all bases here. We are in a unique position and we've got so much opportunity. I don't want to rush this at all, even if it means that we add an extra month or two onto it. So I guess that's going to come out through consultation.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no bottleneck that we're holding up here by going back and further consulting and understanding what we really want to flesh out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's an important piece of work for this committee, so.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
If I may, Chair, I just wanted to reiterate that like it's cool to talk about implementation plans and that I think everybody appreciates that they're keen to get on with it and come back with something in a timely manner. But I just encourage everyone to be open to a bit more philosophical inquiry than narrowing the scope. I know that, you know, having a broader look sometimes takes time, but I think it's more important to get a strategy right than to have a strategy. And also too, I actually really like the trajectory that our strategy is on. I think it's on track to be one of the better ones around.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
I'm very happy that it's not a real estate investment prospectus.
All right, any further discussion? No? Take it to a vote. So all those in favour of the revised motion? And it is unanimous and carried, thank you. That brings us to the end of the meeting, so I'll close it off at 12:47 and the next meeting will open at 12:57. Thank you.